Rudy Gobert has spent over a decade owning the paint, swatting shots, controlling the glass, and making life miserable for anyone who dares step inside. But this summer, the Timberwolves' defensive giant is chasing something nobody saw coming: a jumper. And not just a casual one-off in an empty gym. Gobert is working with one of the NBA's most famous shooting coaches to completely rewrite his offensive identity. The question is, will this turn Minnesota's 7-foot wall into a real scoring threat, or will it be just another off-season mirage? Gobert's off-season grind has been anything but casual. Instead of simply maintaining his usual defensive dominance, he's been spotted in Spain working with Chris Matthews, better known as Lethal Shooter, the go-to trainer for NBA stars looking to overhaul their stroke. This isn't a light touch-up session. The footage shows Gobert drilling pick and pop jumpers, mid-range pull-ups, and even balance heavy footwork sequences designed to simulate in-game movement. For years, Gobert's offensive routine was predictable: set a high screen, roll hard, catch a lob, dunk. Defenses knew it, planned for it, and often used it to their advantage by sagging deep into the paint. It's a dramatic change in focus for a player whose scoring has mostly come within arm's reach of the rim, and it signals something bigger. Gobert isn't just trying to survive in today's NBA spacing game, he's trying to evolve in it. But whether this training becomes a real weapon or fades into another summer workout clip is the story everyone's watching. Last season, Seps's numbers paint a brutal picture. Gobert dominated near the rim as always, finishing over 70% in the restricted area. But the moment he stepped just a few feet out, his efficiency collapsed. From 10 feet, he hit only 32.4% of his shots. From the short mid-range, 14 feet, that number dipped to around 23%, placing him near the very bottom of NBA big men in scoring efficiency. Those stats explain why defenses barely even pretend to guard him outside the paint. In playoff settings, teams like Denver and Dallas exploited that gap ruthlessly, clogging the lane, stacking bodies in front of Anthony Edwards, and daring Gobert to make them pay from anywhere beyond arm's reach. The result? Minnesota's offense would often grind to a halt against elite competition. That's why these new drills aren't just for show. If Gobert can hit even 45% from that short mid-area, it forces defenses to stay honest, opens driving lanes, and could completely change how the Wolves operate in half-court sets. But working in a private gym and hitting jumpers in shorts is one thing, doing it with 20,000 people screaming and a 7-footer closing out on you is another. And that's where the real test comes next. What Gobert's practicing this summer goes way beyond a basic jumper. Lethal Shooter has him running through pick and pop sequences, where he sets a high screen, then instead of rolling to the rim, he fades to open space for a catch and shoot mid-range shot. This could be huge for Minnesota, forcing opposing bigs to step out and guard him, which instantly frees up Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns to attack the paint. He's also drilling one-dribble pull-ups, a rare sight for someone his size. This move lets him punish defenders who close out too hard on his new pick and pop looks, giving him an option to take a dribble inside and pull up before traffic arrives. That's a level of versatility he's never had in real NBA games. Then there's balance and footwork training. Matthews is big on simulating game speed. Gobert isn't just standing still taking open shots. He's stepping into them off quick pivots, fading slightly to create space, and learning how to square up instantly after setting a screen. These are the tiny mechanics that turn a practice-only jumper into something reliable when the lights are on. And if even part of this training sticks, the Wolves' half-court offense could go from predictable to unpredictable overnight. If Gobert's new skills actually stick, the ripple effect on Minnesota's offense could be massive. Right now, teams defend the Wolves' pick and roll by dropping their big man deep into the paint, daring Gobert to shoot. That lets them load up against Anthony Edwards and force awkward late clock shots. But if Gobert becomes a credible pick and pop threat, that defensive comfort zone disappears. Suddenly, the opposing center has to step out to contest him, leaving the rim unprotected for Edwards' explosive drives or slashing cuts from Jaden McDaniels. Julius Randle, now Minnesota's primary front-court scorer after Karl-Anthony Towns' departure, would also benefit. It also adds an unexpected wrinkle to Minnesota's late-game offense. Imagine Gobert setting a high screen for Edwards, popping to the elbow, and calmly knocking down the shot that defenses use to ignore. That forces a complete rethink for scouting reports, and might even swing a playoff game or two. But of course, that's the dream scenario. And there's a reason people are skeptical. Doubters aren't exactly keeping quiet about this. NBA history is littered with big men who looked like snipers in empty gyms during the summer, only to revert to their old habits once the real games began. For every Brook Lopez who successfully reinvented himself as a shooter, there are 10 other centers whose new weapon never made it past training camp highlights. And Gobert has an even steeper hill to climb. He's spent over a decade building his game around rim protection, rebounding, and finishing inside. Muscle memory runs deep, and in high-pressure situations, players often fall back on what they know best. On top of that, shooting in workouts means nobody's closing out with a 7-foot wingspan. The shot clock isn't ticking, and the crowd isn't roaring after a miss. There's also the simple fact that Minnesota isn't built around Gobert being a scorer. Edwards is the franchise cornerstone. Randle is the go-to front-court bucket getter. That's the debate. Some see a possible Brook Lopez-style evolution. Others think this is just another summer clip destined to fade when the season tips off. Why now? For Gobert, the timing couldn't be more critical. He's heading into his 13th NBA season at 33 years old. His defensive dominance is still elite, but father time is undefeated, and big men often lose their mobility faster than guards. Expanding his offensive game isn't just about looking good in the summer, it's about staying relevant and valuable as his athleticism inevitably declines. There's also a shifting landscape in Minnesota. With Karl Anthony Towns gone and Julius Randle in, the Wolves' offense will need new wrinkles to keep defenses guessing. Gobert adding even a modest mid-range game could give them a completely different look, especially in the playoffs, where every possession is a chess match. And maybe that's the real motivation. Gobert isn't just fighting for another all-defensive nod, he's fighting to rewrite how the league talks about him when his career is over. Gobert's gamble is simple, but risky. If his new shooting touch translates, Minnesota's offense could finally shake the predictability that's haunted them in the playoffs. Anthony Edwards would have cleaner driving lanes. Julius Randle would see less congestion inside, and Gobert himself could force defenses into uncomfortable decisions they haven't had to make in years. It could be the tweak that takes the Wolves from dangerous to legitimate contender. But if it doesn't work, the narrative won't be kind. Another summer workout clip will be forgotten by November, and Gobert will remain exactly what he's always been, an elite defensive anchor with glaring offensive limits. The Wolves will still lean heavily on Edwards' brilliance and Randle's scoring, while Gobert returns to setting screens, rolling hard, and cleaning up misses. That's why this experiment feels bigger than it looks. It's not just about a jump shot. It's about whether one of the league's most dominant defenders can evolve into something more, or if his prime years are destined to end exactly the way they began, inside the paint and nowhere else.